Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. May all the peace and blessings of the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be on all of us. As usually, I always used to tell you, I'm a professional teacher of mathematics and biology. But that does not mean it is a barrier for me to teach chemistry. As I always tell you, today I want us to delve deep into chemistry, the concept of the mole, specifically empirical and molecular formula. Now, without wasting time, let's start with the first question. That is, on complete combustion of one mole of a certain alkane, 2 moles of carbon dioxide and 3 moles of water were produced. Determine the relative molecular mass of the alkane. Very good. Class, this one is in the organic chemistry 1. And it talks about alkane, alkene, and alkynes. But now we are not talking about them specifically, but you want to use that concept and solve a question on moles. Now class, we are told on complete combustion of a certain alkane. We don't know, an alkane basically is made up of carbon and hydrogen. Now we can just say CH. So we don't know the number of carbon atoms as well as the number of hydrogen atoms. We say CXHY plus oxygen gas. Now, shall give us, when an alkane burns in air class, it produces carbon dioxide and water to form carbon dioxide plus water. Again, we were given further information on the number of moles of carbon dioxide produced. 2 moles of carbon dioxide were produced and 3 moles of water were produced, and 3 moles of water were produced. Now class, in a scenario like that, when we have these ones, we can see that oxygen here is 4, 3, 7. Oxygen on the left hand side is only 1, and we can balance in relation to these. But why? Because this is because on balancing oxygen on the left hand side, it will not affect any other element, unlike other elements like carbon and hydrogen. Right? Now we just check how many atoms of oxygen we have on the right hand side, and using that information, we balance the number of oxygen atoms on the left hand side. From there now, it will be very simple for us to get the alkane that was burned completely. Now class, here we can see that we have 4 plus 3, 7. Now here we have 2 oxygen atoms. So what can we multiply so that we can have 7 atoms of oxygen here as well? Now we can multiply by 7 out of 2. 7 out of 2. 7 out of 2. Very good. Now, is 7 out of 2 enough? Now it is having a denominator. Now multiply through by the denominator, which is 2. To get, now it will be 2 CXHY plus 7 oxygen will form, this one 2 times 2, it will have 4 carbon dioxide plus 2 times 3, 6 molecules of water. Now check the balancing of oxygen on the left hand side and on the right hand side and tell me what happens. Here we have 7 times 2, 14, right? 4 times 2, 8. 6 times 1, 6 plus 8, that is 14. That is now done. Now come to carbon. How many carbon atoms you have? 4. Here we have 2. Now it will be, we are going to have here C2, right? How many atoms of hydrogen? 12. Here we have 2. We're remaining with 6. Now C2H6. Now what was the question asking? Determine the relative molecular mass. Now relative molecular mass will be 2 times 12 plus 6 times 1, which is 24 plus 6, which will give us 30. Now, the relative molecular mass will be 30 grams. The relative molecular mass of that alkane is 30 grams. Very good. Now, this is question number 1. Now, question number 2. A hydrated salt of copper has the formula of copper 2 sulfate, not anhydrated, and water. Mass is 25 grams. Very good. Again, we have this is the hydrated one, hydrated. Anhydrous, copper 2 sulfate, which is anhydrous. Mass is very simple, it is 16. Now water will be hydrated minus the anhydrous, which will be 25 minus 16. You're going to get 9 grams. Now from there, class, we can just write copper 2 sulfate here. Then you can write water here. Now we can see that copper 2 sulfate is having 16 mass. This one is having mass as 9. Now this one, RAM, is equals to, copper is 64 plus 32 plus 64. That is 32 plus 64. Copper is 64 plus 32 plus 64 again. That is 160. Is here 160. This one, what? RM is 18. Now moles. It will be 16 over 160, which will be 0.1. 9 over 18, which will be 0.5. Divided by 0.1, divided by 0.1. 1, 5. Therefore, class, we can see that it will be like this. It will be like this. Copper 2 sulfate, N is 5, water. Copper 2 sulfate pentahydrate. Copper 2 sulfate pentahydrate. Question number 3. Solution. Question number 3. Now in question number 3, class, we are told an organic compound has relative formula mass of 90 grams. 7.5 grams. Now we have carbon, we have hydrogen, and we have oxygen. Now contains 3 grams of carbon. 3 grams of carbon, 0.5 grams hydrogen. 0.5 grams hydrogen. You also have 4 grams. This one, it has 12, 1, 16. Now it will be 3 divided by 12. 3 divided by 12, 0.25. 0.5, 0.25 as well. 4 divided by 16, 0.25. The smallest one, 0.5, 0.25, 0.25. Now it will be 1, 2, 1. Now it will be CH2O. Is that the end? Now we are told the molecular formula. Now this is called the empirical formula. Now empirical formula multiplied by N shall give us molecular mass. Molecular mass. Now it will be empirical formula, which is 12 plus 2 plus 16. N shall give us the molecular mass, which is 90. Which is 90. Now it will be 12 plus 2, 14 plus 16, 30 N is equals to 90 over 30 over 30. Now it will be N is equals to 3. Now come here, CH2O3. Now molecular formula will be C3H6O3. Have a nice day. Wish you blessed wherever you go. With you here is Teacher Muhyiddin Khalif. Will demystify the concepts that give you nightmares. Be ensured to dive deep into a fascinating class, inclusive of chemistry as well now. Thank you very much.